one's right there, one's right there, and the last one is right there. This is the time where my dogs turn the fuck up. Open that shit and let's get started. Step to the motherfucking side. We got 4 corners. One's right there, one's right there, one's right there, and the last one is right there. This is the time where my dogs turn the fuck up. Open that shit and let's get started.
Yeah, y'all, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. This is your host here, Lord of Lips, with another installment of a live stream, pretty much part 2 of the blackout stream that we did yesterday. And I do want to apologize for the technical difficulties that we faced yesterday during the live stream, just some sound quality issues. And also it was a blackout stream because I didn't have access to my full desktop computer and everything because of a power outage that was in that area. So I do want to apologize for that yesterday, but you guys know the routine. Like and subscribe, comment, definitely comment. Let's get our interaction up. Share the page as well, but let's really get comments and stuff in the chat this time. And I want to get people's full-fledged opinions and a full range of different people's ideologies and opinions and stuff. So let's try to, kind of support through that. But yeah, here we got Drake trying to force people to do a mosh pit.
One's right there, one's right there, one's right there, and the last one is right there. This is the time where my dogs turn the fuck up. Open that shit and let's get started.
Oh my God, this is crazy. This man's crazy. Hey, hold on, what we got here? I don't want to get struck. Let me stop sharing my page real quick. I don't want to get a copyright thing. But yeah, I did want to start and kind of talk a little bit about what's going on with Mr. Lawbury himself while we're at it. And I've seen that as of today, he's been subpoenaed to court. I mean, he's looking to be put in testify under oath about this. Got a comment about this whole situation going on with the lawsuit with Kendrick and UMG and Lucian Grange and the pumping up or botting up Not Like Us. It looks like they've been subpoenaed and told to move forward along with Anthony Saleh and Kojo. The court have been trying to find Kojo so they could subpoena him to court so he could testify under oath about his role to play in this too. But I'm more so, I want to just kind of really talk about this new, like, now that the dust has settled with this whole Kendrick and Drake thing. I've seen like 600 Breezy come out in support of Drake. I've seen Bas come out in support of Drake. I've seen a few other artists come out in support of Drake as well. I don't think I have access to a mic. Hold on. Hopefully we're on. Microphone check. You guys might have missed this whole opening. I do apologize. But yeah, I was just talking a little bit about this Drake situation, and it seems like people are coming out of the woodworks to try to support Drake now that the dust has settled. And I mean, we knew that this was coming. We knew that this was coming early on, or at least I kind of predicted that this would be a thing early on. That a year or so removed from the battle, people will come out of the woodwork. You got your Lil Yachty's, and you got your like all these other kind of artists. You got Sexy Red, and just a slew of artists that have come out to try to kind of support Drake and kind of usher him in. And I just think it's whack because this man was getting his back kicked in last year. I mean, he was getting his back kicked in. I mean, obviously, we know the whole world was calling him, chanting that he was a pedophile and stuff like that. And I just feel like Drake is here's where Drake and LeBron have a bromance, and they're pretty similar in this way that it seems like they'll be mad at you if you turn your back on them for the time being, but they're real quick and easy to forgive. Drake seems like he's petty and stuff like that, but he is going to allow all of these people that like sat silent while he was getting his. It'd have been nice for Drake to get a nice little cosign or somebody to come out in support of Drake while he was getting his back kicked in. I mean, he was getting his fucking head stomped last year, and nobody seemed to like step up to the plate and say anything in support of this man. No one came out and said this guy is not a pedophile. This guy is still Drake. He's still, just any kind of solidarity or solitude would have been welcomed and good. The only person I could say that kind of stood by Drake during this whole battle is 21 Savage. I know he released a record with Drake earlier last year. It was called not No Face, but they had another record that they dropped in the summer. But I think this is where Drake really annoys me, is that he's going to accept all these people back with open arms. All the Sexy Reds, 600 Breezies, all of these people. And if you remember during the height of the battle, he was calling on people and kind of like this whole, you don't get love in your hometown, and you know who really bangs a set, my nigga YG, and YG came out and supported Kendrick. Like everybody, like Kendrick had it lined up to where everybody came out and supported him and was just like, no, we're rocking. They made it clear who they was rocking with. People on Drake's side was so fickle. And that's what happens when you have like friends that Drake has. Let me see. Kendrick mosh pit. This is what Drake was trying to emulate here. I don't know why he was trying to force a mosh pit, but I'm trying to find these mosh pits that have been going on for Kenny for a long time now. Where am I at? Let me try to share this. There we go. Now all of a sudden I can't find no mosh pits, but Drake is trying to force a mosh pit into the crowd. So, I mean, we got the release of, let me see. I'm gonna get copywritten. I'm gonna get struck for that. I shouldn't have played that, but that's what Drake was essentially trying to do there. Here's the thing. Drake is in a real interesting situation because I think he's in a lose-lose situation. Now, I know a lot of his fans are going to support him no matter what, and he has a big fan base. He's kind of like Nicki Minaj in that sense, where they have like this cult fan base. And most of the, like, J. Cole has his core, Kendrick has his core fan base. They're cult-like. Drake, the Nation of Drizlam. You got the Barbs, and you got all these fractions and different type of things in hip hop that goes on. But with the Drake fans is like they are relentless and they will not let this situation go. They're looking for retribution through this lawsuit, which he may or may not get through this lawsuit. I don't know exactly what they're looking for. I don't know if they're looking for the payday for Drake that doesn't, benefit them none. I don't know if they're just looking for a payout from Drake. I don't know if they're looking at just trying to smear Kendrick and this whole the thing with the Not Like Us thing is we see the impact. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of these records like they'll try to do with this Doechii situation where it's like nobody's in the crowd, but she's like the #1 artist on YouTube, where it's like you can make a case like, okay, obviously there's some payola going on, there's some botting going on. But with the Kendrick situation, like everybody on this planet, I think they can locate the people in the Amazon that they just found last year. I think that they were singing the lyrics to Not Like Us too. You know what I'm saying? So I don't fully understand the angle that they're trying to get with this lawsuit. But we'll see. We'll see. I think they'll take any win. They're also trying to, he's trying to get something to stick on the charts. He hasn't had any luck with anything sticking on the charts. What Did I Miss is out of the top 20. I think the song with him and Central C didn't even debut in the top 20, and then Nokia is falling off the charts hard too. So nothing that's stuck for him so far. We'll see. He has an album coming out. I think he's going to do episode 3 of the Iceman series that he's doing on his on Apple Music, I believe. I think episode 3 is coming out, and he's still playing with this whole Pinocchio situation. So we'll see how that kind of goes with the Pinocchio situation. Again, like I said, my mic might have been cut. He has been subpoenaed to court to testify. So Mr. Lawbury Graham is going to have to go under oath and kind of present his case in front of a juror and a judge about, kind of his findings with why they're filing this petition against UMG. So we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of the whole Kendrick and Drake thing, Kendrick is still on a international tour right now, and I think they're in like the Australia leg or something like that. And it has been announced that Doechii is going to be a opening act in this, and I think that that's a great move. I thought it should have been happened. I mean, Doechii is a killer performer, no matter what people may say about her, whether they like her or not. Doechii can perform her ass off, so I think she's a great opening act. Schoolboy Q is going to be on this leg as well, so you got Doechii and Schoolboy Q. I think that that's going to be a dope thing. And you just, the one thing with the Doechii situation that to me that I like to pay attention to is how there was a start and stop with Doechii. TDE has been working Doechii since 2021. And she didn't really pop when she was supposed to. And then she released Alligator Bites, Never Heal in 2024, and she popped. But Doechii they've been trying to pop Doechii for a long time now over there at TDE. And that kind of reminds me about this JID situation that I wanted to touch on, is that there's no reason that JID should not be as big as Doechii is. JID should be just as big, if not bigger than Doechii. He has the work, he has the projects, and he definitely has the talent, right? But my problem is over there at Dreamville, they have done more than a lackluster job at being able to break their artists. I think they've dropped the ball with Ari Lennox. They've dropped the ball with Boss. They've dropped the ball with JID now, and they've dropped the ball with Earth Gang. I mean, they have great talent over there at Dreamville. Don't get me wrong. I love the talent over there at Dreamville. I just think either it's a lazy label or I really think they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I know Boz had put out a tweet this week in support of Drake, saying that he's one of the greatest songwriters of our generation and all this stuff like that. And Boz likes to chill, and he said what he said, and he kind of, was in the news cycle, and he didn't make much out of it. But JID, let me see if I can find this. JID Dreamville. Because a user on X said, like, man, I really hope that a user on X basically said, I hope that fucking Dreamville doesn't stomp on his rollout again, alluding to this whole Boss situation. And JID did quote this tweet. Let me see if I can just find JID's page. JID quoted this tweet and said, man. And it made me wonder, like, what's his standing? Now, I know he is doing this $1 in a Dream situation that he kind of got off of J. Cole, which was an iconic thing that J. Cole did back in like 2010, where he sold tickets to a $1 in a Dream concert for only $1. You can get in for $1. And JID did just do that. That was part of his rollout. But outside of that, this rollout has been pretty pedestrian, to say the least, for JID. I mean, and I'm hearing good things about this album. I'm people that have got early access to this album, I'm really excited to hear this album. And this is following up on his last album, which was received really, really well. The Never Story. And now we got God Does Like Ugly coming out tonight. And I just feel like, man, they are definitely missing the ball in promoting this artist JID and breaking him on. I mean, he's been listed as a fucking like an up and coming artist for like 10 years now. You know what I'm saying? And he has all the talent in the world, all the wherewithal in the world to really break free and break out and be a breakout artist, but they're not doing something right over there. We know Ari Lennox kind of left. I think she's pretty much done with Dreamville. And I don't really blame her. I think that they do a terrible job over there. And I know J. Cole is an artist, and he likes people have their freedom and stuff like that. But there has to be some structure when you're running a label, and I just think that label has completely no structure over there. I'm not going to be able to find JID's thing. He's just retweeting everything right now. JID's excited for this album. The problem is the promotion doesn't match the talent. I think it's one of those rare cases where you got somebody that's extremely talented, puts out great projects, is great on features. JID has been smoking features. his feature on the Freddie Gibbs Alchemist Alfredo 2, fire. He smoked the Eminem feature 2 times. He has a list of features that he has just been absolutely smoking lately. And again, met with no promotion. It's just not promoted well. Even I go to his page. I'm on his page now, and there's just no serious promotion behind what he's trying to do. There's none, and it's sad. I mean, now I think he's going to go up to the Joe Budden podcast this week. But outside of like, small little appearances on shows like that, there's just no marketing behind this project. I mean, we should have seen billboards. We should have seen Apple Music interview. He should have been front listed, all of these things. But it's like, they act like they don't want to cough up a fucking dollar or a dime for this man. So, it is what it is with Jid. We're at the point where he just has to let the music speak for itself. And I think that that's kind of sad because that's not what does it. As much as Jid is talented, as much as Jid has put out great bodies of work, they're not substantial, within hip hop culture. I think of the Never Story. Some people call it a classic. I think it's more so a cult classic than it is a classic because the impact has not been felt by hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody references the Never Story. Nobody references any album that he's done before. Nobody references Jid when they think of top lyricists in the game or best rappers in the game when he does actually have a case for that. But again, that's part of marketing and that's part of artistry. People just think that they got this illusion. Like we're hearing the conversation right now is about this Freddie Gibbs album, Alfredo 2, and clips for best rap album of the year. And I have to say, everybody hold your fucking horses. Now, this Freddie Gibbs album is pretty good. It's fire, right? I love the song with Anderson .Paak. I love. Let me see here. There's a whole bunch of songs I love on there. They're all just great songs, but they're actually more so less songs than they are epitaphs or just like statements by Freddie Gibbs, where it's just like a few verses. Some dope ass beats and shit like that. Lane says Cole better start doing something right, damn it. Yeah. Cole's just not good at running a label. That's just what it comes down to me. That's just how I feel about it. And we love Cole. Cole gets the Tim Duncan pass, right? Where he's so low key, he's so chill. People try to like frame it like Kendrick's this low key chill guy when that's really not Kendrick's angle. But J. Cole is really the Tim Duncan of this industry, right? To where like his lowlights and some of his weaknesses do not get highlighted enough because he's so low key. But when it's time to gas people up and all this, I'm the best rapper alive shit that he did for 3 years, it was cool then, but he's not good at running a label. He literally fumbled. I remember just a few years ago coming out of the pandemic, there was a conversation on who was the best rap label or who was the best label in the game between Dreamville, and people were saying between Griselda, who that blew up too. There's news out of Griselda that I'll have to cover at some point where it looks like Benny and Westside Gunn ain't seeing eye to eye. I mean, not Westside, but Conway ain't seeing eye to eye at all at a listening party. I think there was almost some fisticuffs had. So, Griselda they bubbled and I call all this shit that happened substitute, you think of Little Baby and DaBaby. I call them all substitute COVID rappers. And that's what Griselda was. They was a substitute COVID label. Now Griselda has great talent as well. Them motherfuckers can spit over there at Griselda, right? And shout out to Stove God Cooks, who was on the Clips album, who had a standout hook on there on FICA. But back to Dreamville. He's fumbled tremendous talent. I mean, Earth Gang is Johnny Venus and Lou over at Earth Gang, man. You can't tell me that pound for pound, they're not as good. And this is going to sound blasphemous. I shouldn't even say this, but they make similar music to Outkast, very similar music to Outkast. It's just that, again, they don't have the they don't have the proper connection. They don't have the proper promotion that they need. They don't have the proper push behind them. He said the whole Griselda crew on the Raekwon album was crazy. I don't think I heard the record on the Raekwon album. Wasn't Jid on the Raekwon album too? And he smoked it too. I'm pretty sure he was. But yeah, you think of Earth Gang. You think of Ari Lennox, who was at one point compared to, she was compared to SZA. There's no reason. She was compared to all the girls. She was compared to the SZA, the Snow Allegras, the Cardi B, that whole class of female artists that bubbled up in like 2019, 2017, 2019, Summer Walker, all that. Ari Lennox was in that class. And they fumbled Ari Lennox. Now she's complaining. Now she's sitting there, you know, she's having a fit about Martin, Pam, and Gina and shit, you know, instead of releasing good music. And her sophomore album was a big fucking flop. Coming off of her debut album was a classic. Shea Butter is a classic. And, you know, I just think Dreamville fumbled the ball. Even I remember the single she released for the sophomore album was like some Dream Girl shit. It just wasn't a good single. It wasn't a good choice. And I just think that she didn't have the right label backing that she needed. And again, that lays at the feet of Dreamville. And I have to lay that at the feet of J. Cole. I'm sorry. So you're talking Earth Gang, you're talking Ari Lennox, you're talking now Jid. And like I'm saying, Jid is about to release his third album on this label. And if I don't come on the stream and talk about it, who's talking about it? No one's talking about it. You know, you got a few people in the industry that's trying to talk about it, but not as much as it should be talked about. God Does Like Ugly should be the sole focus going on in hip hop right now. You already had the Freddie 2 weeks ago. You had the Clips a month ago. This should be Jid's moment. This is an ISO moment for Jid. This is for JID. This is put up or shut up time. And this motherfucker will be lucky if he sells 30,000 copies on this album. Now, I know it's not about sales and stuff like that, but sales also kind of partners with impact. And like that Clips album, we all felt. We still feel the impact of the Clips album. And the Clips album, speaking of rollouts, marvelous rollout. We get on this stream every day and we talk about their rollout. Absolutely marvelous rollout for the Clips, and they're still rolling it out. I'm talking about block parties. I'm talking about the concert with Dave Chappelle. I'm talking about Jimmy Fallon or Stephen Colbert, The Night Show. Now they're on tour. Just absolutely flawless rollout for the Clips, and we felt the impact of this album. You can't really escape this album. Anywhere in hip hop, the Rams go, you hear about this Clips album. Actually, the only place that you don't hear about this Clips album is in the streaming community. And that's another topic that I really wanted to talk about, is that I love this era. Jid, please do not go to the streamers. I love this whole, you got Freddie, you got the Clips, you got YG dropping, you got Kendrick dropping, and there's some other artists that I'm missing just off the top right now that have dropped that are more pure hip hop. And Raekwon, Nas is outside. All of these like real to the core hip hop artists have dropped, and they haven't blinked at the streamers' way. And I love that, because I love isolating them. I hear DJ Academics and Aiden Ross and all these people saying that hip hop is in a horrible state and, you know, nothing's going on. That's because you guys have been isolated. You know, you guys have been isolated outside of actual real good quality hip hop, because this Freddie Gibbs album is really fucking good. This Clips album is really fucking good. And when the Grammys come around and it's mainstream time, these albums are going to be pushed to the forefront because they're such good quality. They have high potential chances of winning. And I'm going to love the egg on the face of these streamers who did not try to promote this. They did not help. They did not get a doggy biscuit thrown their way when it came to these albums. So I love this. It seems like a changing of the guard. And this is what I felt Kendrick kind of meant when he was talking about the party, watching the party die. This is part of watching the party die, which is that the typical constraints that we had on this industry with the streamers trying to like premiere records and not having a clue about hip hop and knowing what the fuck was going on. Those days need to be far and gone. But, you know, that was happening when you have artists that are industry made, like your 21 Savages that got to go up there and sit with them, Nicki Minaj that got to go up there and sit with them, Drake that had to go up there and sit with them. All of these artists, the Baby begged to go, not the Baby, but Little Baby went up there and had to sit and hang out with the streamers and stole Aiden Ross's chain and all this weird shit that they got to do where you had a collision of two different cultures, you know, where, you know, you got people from the actual hood that are in hip hop. I think of G Herbo and all of these people that got to go sit down with these streamers that they really don't have nothing in common with, but you guys are sucking the dick of the streamers because they're the popping fraction right now, you know, instead of just, you know, staying true to the core of what y'all are, which should be hip hop, you know, and going to actual hip hop spaces like Big Boy and the Joe Budden podcast and actual people that know the foundation of this space. You know, you guys got to sit with, you know, streamers who don't know what the fuck's going on. We also seen that G Herbo was talking about he didn't know who Mad Lib was. He didn't know who Jay Dilla was. And, you know, it just goes to my whole narrative that I just have an issue with these people in these industries that continuously, I mean, it's only in hip hop, you know what I'm saying? It's very rare that you're going to talk to an NBA player that really doesn't know, except today. I will say today it is like that, but long gone are the days to where, like, across different industries, you know, people were students of that industry. You know, you would talk to, you know, NBA players and they would know about your Wilt Chamberlains. They would know about your Bill Russells. You had to be a student of the game. And that was part of your maturation process. It wasn't just, you know, reps in the gym and running across cones and crossovers and different drills and stuff like that. You know, your coaches and your father and your grandfather and stuff will sit you down and teach you the history of the game. Same with boxing, same with MLB, same with football. You know, the list goes on and on. When you think of the all-time greats, you think of Patrick Mahomes. He knows the history of football like the back of his hand. Tom Brady knew the history of football like the back of his hand. Peyton Manning knew the history of football like the back of his eyesight. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of being great in your industry. And that just with the rise of internet and streaming and kind of like social media and stuff like that, long gone are we from those days to where it's just like these people see a lick. They see hip hop as a lick. They see basketball as a lick. In fact, I'm about to try to find this. Let me see if I can find this Jabari Smith comment that he made to kind of support my point. And I know I had it on my page. I'm going to try to find this Jabari Smith. They had Jabari Smith sitting down and they were talking to him about pretty much similar to what I'm talking about. And the fucker acted like he didn't know what was going on either. He was talking about he don't know why people should play hard in the All-Star game. You know, they're tired and all this different shit. And it's just exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, here it is. I got it. So this is Jabari Smith, who is in the NBA player. Let me see.
So when I see people talking about it, it's like play harder. And it's just like, why?
Huh?
And correct me if I'm wrong, were they playing hard back in the day in the All-Star games? Like, they were?
Yeah.
But okay, so my problem starts at the beginning. What do you mean why when they say play harder? Because we're paying Patreons. We're literally the consumers, and we're telling you your product is bad. This is the number one issue with the NBA. Like, same with rap. You know, we were telling y'all for years, like, this product fucking sucks. And you're all like telling us, no, it doesn't. It's like, yes, it does. We decide. And then he doesn't even have the proper information he needs. He's sitting here trying to cross reference whether they were playing hard in previous All-Star games or not. You should know that.
Yeah, like Jordan, like those, they were playing the 90s. They were.
Bro, Kobe's nose got broken.
Winner of this All-Star game.
Wow. Oh, hard foul on Bryant by Wade.
Well, yeah, it's a glorified pickup game, but who says there's not hard fouls or...
Looked like that was a pretty hard foul because Kobe has drawn blood. And Kobe over.
Kobe.
So they were playing hard like that.
People say that Kobe, that when Kobe left, that's when this started, basically, because Kobe would force everybody to play hard.
Right.
I mean, you got to get somebody up there to make them play hard, but I just feel like people tired, bro.
What do you mean?
If you did, winner gets home court advantage.
No, we don't.
East West.
Hold on,
East West?
that's the problem. Hold on. That's the problem. Y'all do not need more incentivized to play harder. That how are we at the point where you guys are getting paid $80 million a year, more than more than Michael Jordan ever dreamed of in his whole career, more than Kobe Bryant ever got paid in his whole career? You guys are making that in a year, and that's the issue. And we have to incentivize you more to play harder. You know, this is the shit I'm talking about. This is what has reared its ugly head in multiple industries across the nation. You know, when you think of hip hop, you think of music in general. It's just this is the importance of gatekeeping shit, because it's like he should have been filtered out. He should not have made the league. If this is your mindset, you should not be in this league. You shouldn't be in this sport. You know what I'm saying? We're having to incentivize you to play hard. I mean, come on.
Like you guys, you're gonna be playing. You're gonna be like, we're going to finals.
That'll make them play for sure. I don't know. I just don't see them just playing hard for no reason. Again, I mean,
what do you mean for no reason? These people are so short-sighted. It's driving me. When I hear this, it literally drives me insane. This is why I boycott the NBA. I'm cool. Last year was a disgrace. You know what I'm saying? Ratings all down, plummeting. NBA Finals, nobody has blinked. Nobody talked about the NBA Finals. Nobody can give a fuck less about the NBA Finals. It goes 7 games. Nobody even gives a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck if Halliburton was hurt or not. I didn't watch one game of the sorry son of a bitch series. You know what I'm saying? And I won't. I don't give a fuck. Y'all can try to promote Luka. Y'all can try to promote Wemby and all these European players and shit like that. But until these lame-ass, whack-ass, spoiled-ass, American-born players get a stick out of their ass, ain't nobody going to be watching that shit. We gonna be moving on. We gonna watch the Big Three or something else. So we just gonna continue to watch podcasts and shit. I'd rather watch the WNBA or paint dry. I'd rather watch the WNBA with dildos, green dildos all across the fucking court or all on the scoreboard before I watch a whole bunch of pampered ass American-born dumbasses sit around and as an NBA player, you're supposed to be representing this league and you're asking the podcaster or whatever, why should we play hard? What kind of shit is this?
If the competitiveness back in the day was obviously something that will probably Kobe, you can't, mama mentality, all of that. Like, it's just, I don't see nobody just making everybody play hard.
This year they had way too many breaks. Like, I was there at the game and I'm like, there was way too many breaks. Like, there was more break time than there was game time. Hey, what is going on? Like right now, like
it's more of a show. They're making it more of a show. But the thing is, while they're doing that, they're trying to make it more entertaining, which I get it. But it's like
less is more, man. We come for basketball. I'm not here to see Mr. Beast.
Well, they gotta play then.
I mean, I hear it, but
right. What do you mean they gotta play then? Yes, you're a fringe all-star. Yes, y'all gotta play. It's a simple equation. I don't understand. Like, are these guys like getting ready to go on strike? Is there like NBA like is there a fucking lockout coming or something? I don't really understand. I don't understand, man. Like these people do not like to play basketball.
We got to play. Like we got to go out there and try to.
You're not wrong. No, for sure. I think the younger guys now, like they're probably gonna start, trying to play because they don't feel like hearing it from, the outside media.
Or you could just try to play because you should like the sport that you're in. I really don't quite understand. I really just don't quite understand. Hey, Adam Silver, until you get that shit together, I'm good. I won't be watching that shit. That shit is crazy, bro. That shit is crazy to me. Switching gears. The main thing that I really want to talk about today is obviously what's going on over there in Gaza and the West Bank. We know about the humanitarian crisis with the food or lack of food, I should say, or lack of aid. And all the humanitarian efforts across the globe trying to get food into that area, and just how the Palestinians have been treated in supposed safe zones. They've been shot dead. I mean, I'm talking about thousands of people shot dead in safe zones where they're supposed to be going there to get their supplies of food and aid and stuff like that. They've been shot. We had a whistleblower come out last week. IDF whistleblower, former IDF whistleblower, come out and say he's seen it with his own 2 eyes, that they've, called people into these safe zones and then they've treated it like Hunger Games and shot at their feet and dropped bombs and done all types of wicked shit, in these safe zones where people are supposed to be retrieving food. Now, the report today is that Mr. Netanyahu, Israel is to take full military control of all of Gaza. So right now they occupy 75% of that Gaza Strip, the West Bank and stuff, and they're looking to take over the rest, the other 25%. This is news out of Washington. This is news being reported out of everywhere, and the Trump administration is in support of this, all because, really because of the Epstein thing. If let's just cut the shit, right? This Epstein thing is a honey trap operation to where they're using this. Let me show y'all something. This was printed by the Times of Israel, right? We're going to read this. Here we go. Now, Yosef Jenkowitz. Now, this is just a blogger, Israeli blogger, a Jewish blogger. So this does not represent the Times of Israel, but they did post this article, all right? The Trump and his administration criticized Netanyahu in Israel, and now the Epstein files are haunting him. For a long time, the files have subsided in the background. They weren't considered to be much of a threat to Trump, but all of a sudden, right after he started up with Israel, the files surfaced, and they seem to be overwhelming him. Trump blasted Bibi after a shrapnel hit a church in Gaza. The church is in a war zone. It was not targeted. Rather, shrapnel from a nearby explosion hit it. Still, Trump berated Bibi and demanded that he publicly express regret. After Israel bombed places in Syria in order to protect the Druze, administration officials from the White House referred to Bibi as a madman, which he is. It seems that Trump's ambition, maybe to sign business and oil deals with Syria or maybe to win the Nobel Peace Prize, are more important to him than preventing the slaughter of Druze. More important to him than stopping Israeli Druze from crossing into Syria, something that would greatly escalate fighting and bloodshed. Huckabee also chimed in, blasting Israel for withholding visas from evangelical groups. It seems that Israel wants to ensure that the groups don't plan to missionize, but Huckabee seems insensitive to Israel concerns. So here is a guy expressing that these Epstein files are used to trap American politicians through AIPAC and different means to bend and bequest at the will of the Israeli lobby. This is what we've been saying the whole time, right? And how do you create anti-Semitism in the 21st century? It's these things here. It's that 39 states in America, it's against the law to boycott Israel or not do business with Israel. It's how do you create anti-Semitism? It's Trump and the administration trying to pass the no boycott Israel laws. And it's also the Trump administration on Monday, which they redacted, refusing humanitarian aid to nations and countries that refuse to recognize Israel or plan to boycott Israel, right? So we talked about France coming out in support and recognizing Palestine as giving Palestine, recognizing them as a state, and Trump enforced tariffs on them, right? And let me see if I got this. Hold on, let me see. Here is, I know I had this retweeted. Nah, where'd they go? Where'd it go? I can't find it right now, but yeah, it's just through all these things that they do. This is how you create. And then we talked about yesterday the TikTok situation, and then now there's also reports of Microsoft being involved in intercepting Palestinian calls, and the Israeli lobby controlling Palestinian calls and stuff like that through the use of these Microsoft chips and different things. And they have over 200 million gigabytes of audio of Palestinian calls and interference and all these different things. So this is how you create anti-Semitism. This is how you create people saying that the Israeli influence on our foreign affairs and our politics is just too much, and that they control too much. And then, not to mention, central banks and mega groups and AIPAC funds and ADLs and IRS and CIA and all these different agencies and stuff like that that are at the hands of Israeli control. You know, this is why you have anti-Semitism running rampant through the country like it is. And, you know, they can say what they want and they can use that term and throw it around, but it's falling on deaf ears today. You know what I'm saying? People want to see the content and what people are talking about. People want to know the truth. So you can't just use your old tricks of just calling somebody anti-Semitic to silence them. That's not going to work today. People want to know the details, and the devil is in the details, and people are reading and seeing what you guys are doing. Israel's controlling, they want 100% control of that territory. Now, Netanyahu claims that this is not a permanent thing. They just will not, they refuse, they want to gain control, 100% control of the Gazan territory, the West Bank, and then they want to turn it over into some Arab hands that they can trust. They UAE, somebody that's bought and paid for. That's essentially what's going to go on. Let me see. Netanyahu. Gaza control. I want to hear him. I want to hear his own. I want to hear it out of his own mouth, because you guys may not believe me. All right. So this was just as of today, Bibi Netanyahu talking about their plans for taking control of the Gaza Strip, which is what we said was happening.
Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. And you were in the Gaza Strip today. You met Palestinians who are fighting Hamas because finally they see that they have a future. They can rid themselves of this awful tyranny that not only holds our hostages, but holds 2 million Palestinians in Gaza hostage. That's got to end.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip, as it was 20 years ago to this month in 2005?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas. The only way that you're going to have a different future is to get rid of this neo-Nazi army. The Hamas are monsters. Look at what they're doing to our people. Look at what they're doing to the way they massacred, raped, beheaded.
So there you have it from exactly what Lane said. Third Temple construction. Edit. That's exactly what's going on here. We've uncovered this plan a long time ago, and it's just happening right in front of our face. That's why it's no need for me to be all up in arms. You know what I'm saying? My job, like I said, to use my platform is to just be the mouthpiece, extending the olive branch to everybody else that might be viewing and stuff like that. They may have not had the source and may have not heard it. So you guys can hear it live and direct here, that this is all a part of their mass plan. The IDF soldiers have Greater Israel on their fucking arm patch. We talked about this from the get-go when the war started 2 years ago, that this is all part of the plan of annexing that territory. Here he is talking about Hamas again, when we know that Hamas is Qatar funded and he's used Qatar money to fund Hamas. We know this. It's on record. You know what I'm saying? This is all a ploy. He, through subsidiaries, uses Hamas to do what they're doing as a terrorist organization. So that way it justifies him invading Gaza and taking the land that they've been wanting. You know, these settlements that have been going on since 1967, these Israeli settlements that have been going back and forth. And then you got the 2005 settlements. And then in 2006 and 7, you got the ushering in of Hamas, who then takes over the Gaza Strip and they govern the people. And then, you know, but this was all a plan employed from Mr. Netanyahu the whole entire time. And here you have him. What I don't want to be lost on this is the genius in this operation is that this Epstein thing, again, Epstein is the man that just won't die. He's just going to haunt American politics for forever because that's a Netanyahu thing, right? That is a Mossad thing. This whole Epstein pedophilia thing. Even we're going to talk about here in the next segment, the Diddy connections and Lucian Grange connections to Epstein, which I told you guys 2 years ago that it was all interconnected. This whole last 3 or 4 years, this whole pedophilia umbrella that's going on in the nation, it's all interconnected. It's all the same people. It's all the same thing. Lucian Grange and Epstein have connections. Epstein and Prince Harry and Lucian Grange, Epstein and Diddy. Do we not remember that when they arrested the guy that shot up in the Trump Golf Club just this past year? He was in disposition, and he talked about Diddy having him as a sex slave, and he was an agent, and Kanye saying Diddy was a Fed, and all of these different things. And these are all interconnected. These are all the same agencies, right? And in order for Mr. Netanyahu and the Zionist movement to do what Lane talked about, which is building that third temple, they have to do two things. They have to keep American politicians out of their way, which is what they're doing with the Epstein thing. He just dropped a bomb on U.S. politicians. Y'all go deal with this Epstein thing. Let me drop that off to y'all. Y'all deal with this Epstein thing while I continue to march in on more territory and annex Gazans, right? And then really the thing that people do not want to talk about in this instance is, I'm sorry, I had a thumbs up. The thing that people don't want to talk about on this is how is hip hop related? Why is Diddy involved? Why has there been CIA assets and Mossad assets infiltrating hip hop for all this time? Well, one could make the case here that there is a belief, that the Israelis that occupy that space today are not the true and original Jews. They're not the Hebrew Jews of the Bible, right? And that leads the question, well, who are? And some people think it's the 12 tribes of Israel and the 13 tribes of Judah. It's spread all across the nation, right? But they think that American Negroes is one of the true descendants of Israel or of Abraham, the seed of Abraham. And if that's the case, right? If we take that for face value, well, then you would use hip hop, right, to be so diluted and be so misguided, and you use Diddy as what he is, which is Diddy, like I said, is the Epstein of hip hop, right? You use Diddy as the cover fall man. He's controlling all these blackmail. He's keeping hip hop in line through his blackmail rings, right? And we're so fucked up. We're so lost. We're so confused just through our culture dealing with hip hop. We're not paying attention to what's going on over there anyway. And that's our territory. That's our temple. That's our shit. You know what I'm saying? But we're so far removed. I got 2 viewers on this motherfucker. Ain't nobody in the hip hop community, ain't nobody in the black community even focused on what's going on over there. You know what I'm saying? They're not able to. They're so caught up in what's going on in your day-to-day hip hop news. They're worried about the Diddy case. They're worried about, this and that, all these different things. And this is how this umbrella all ties in together, right? This is how Lucian Grange plays a part into it. This is how UMG plays a part into it. This is how the list goes on and on when we talk about these things, and how this whole honey trap operation actually works. But yeah, Mr. Netanyahu, while we're dealing with American politics and American degradation due to pedophilia and this Epstein thing and who was framed in blackmail, here he is on the other side doing which is what is prophecy to him and his people. And in fact, if you guys don't believe me, you can check the stream record, check my record, check my history. But if you guys don't believe me, I'm going to leave you guys with two things that you can't dispute, right? Let me see if I can find it here. Excuse me. Let me share my screen. And I've shared this on here before. Here's Mr. Netanyahu years and years and years ago, right? Meeting with the rabbi on the coming of the Messiah. And how
מה שרואה עוד, וגם משהו שעדיין משאיר ליבו, אז הייתה משהו ממה ידיעתו. הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר כמה שעות התבגר עדיין ליבו, אבל יש עוד כמה שעות, אבל יש לי...
This is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? This is not me saying it. This is not my conspiracy. This is not my doing. This is on record. You know what I'm saying? He should be asked about this. If our American politicians had any balls and any control, which they should have, you know, because we pay them our tax dollars to govern our nation. But if they had any pride, any moral condemnation or anything, they would ask Mr. Netanyahu about this, that he's been pressured with this prophecy his whole tenure, since the very beginning. Rabbis and other people, a part of high Jewish ranking congregations. I'm talking mega groups. I'm talking Jewish councils, House of Rothschild. All these different people have pressured him with the they've laid at his foot the pressure of the coming of the Messiah, right? And how he's going to usher that in. How is he going to go about it? And when you see that that's the case, then a lot of this shit makes sense, right? In order for that to be done, like Lang said, you gotta build the third temple. And in order for you to build the third temple, you got to knock down Al-Aqsa. You got to knock down the Rock of the Dome that's there now, which is an Islamic dome, Islamic temple that holds that spot. Well, you got to get rid of that. And in order for you to even start any of that, you got to take back over the land which the Gazans occupy right now, that Palestinian state. You got to take that back over. You have to clean the slate. That cannot be their territory no more. So then you get Greater Israel, Eretz Israel. This has been since the beginning of time for Herzl and this whole Zionist movement in the state of Israel has been a part of this motion right here the whole entire time. So it's really not hard to see what's going on. They're doing it right in front of our eyes. But the problem is that they were able for decades to be able to throw anti-Semitism at people to get us to be silenced and not listened to and classified as a hate group and this and that. And then this whole blackmail operation, right? They're able to bend our politicians at the knees to get our politicians to do whatever they want in behalf of Israel, right? So there's two things going on at the same time. Let me see if I can find this other thing. You have Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. All of the people, the Republican Congress is all flying over they're doing their yearly Wailing Wall trip where they go kiss the Wailing Wall and go over to Israel in full support. But let's see, you have Mr. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, over in Israel this past Monday. And you know what he talked about? They talked about this red heifer thing, which I wonder where y'all heard that from here first. Y'all heard it here first. I told you guys about the prophecy, the red heifer, its play on this. So let's take a look.
And Samaria, the settlers' name for the West Bank, belonged to Israel, quote, by right, which not only contradicts international law, but also official U.S. policy. But behind the provocative rhetoric, the media so far has missed what appears to be the fundamentally biblical nature of the trip. So the story behind the trip involves a rabbi named Yitzhak Mamo, a Texas Christian named Byron Stinson,
who flew
5
red cows
red
over
heifers,
there,
and the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Now, in September of 2022, Stinson shipped 5 red heifers to Tel Aviv from Texas.
Told you guys.
The cattle are part of end times prophecy and are required to be sacrificed to help usher in the apocalypse. Hamas spokesman Abu Ubaidah, in marking the 100th day of the war that began on October 7th, even made reference to the red heifers as a provocation to be condemned, since part of the end times prophecy involves destroying the Al-Aqsa Mosque and rebuilding the Jewish temple that was destroyed 2,000 years ago.
Prophecy.
On February 1st, 2023, Mike Johnson, according to a source with knowledge of the matter, invited Rabbi Mamo to Congress to speak to a group of evangelical Republicans about the heifers. Boris Johnson also happened to be there. And Johnson, that's Mike Johnson introduced the rabbi, who regaled the gathering with tales of the prophesied heifers. So the meeting was held on the same day as that year's National Gathering for Prayer and Repentance, a high-profile evangelical convening in Washington that Mike Johnson is heavily involved with.
All right, I'm gonna stop it there just for a second. So let me just put it in my own terms. We talked about the 5 red heifers on here, and I know that they actually did a test run a few months ago, back in, I want to say March it was, because they did find a blemish on one of the red heifers. So they did do the sacrificial thing, but it was just a test run. They're still working on embryos for the perfect red heifer. This red heifer cannot have any blemish. And we talked about that on here. This is all part of biblical prophecy. And then here you have evangelical Christians working hand in hand with Jewish members to usher in this prophecy of the rebuilding of the third temple. So you have the Speaker of the House, an American politician, helping usher in and meet with these guys and platform these guys who believe in this prophecy and believe in fulfilling this prophecy. Let me continue.
The next year, in 2024, both Stinson and Rabbi Mamo spoke at the gathering, telling their story again, where Johnson was a central figure.
So, Father, we bless you for granting us the ability to have the office of the Consolidator in Chief, represented by your manservant, Speaker Johnson, to be with us today, and your different servants representing the entire earth for a cry of repentance.
So here's Byron Stinson at that event.
You're going to be extremely excited what you're about to hear now as we go into this portion on Israel. I have 2 good friends out here with me, Byron Stinson and Rabbi Isaac Mamo. And I'm going to have them start immediately by telling the story of the red heifers. These are the men who are at the epicenter of what's happening with the red heifers. So Byron, shall we start with you? This story, Byron is an evangelical Christian from Texas. Saki Mamo is an Orthodox Jew from Jerusalem. Byron, do we start with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I have really good news today, and I'm so happy to be here. Could I have that first slide, please?
Yep.
If we're going to the next slide, what we see here are the red heifers. Let's go back one. Are the red heifers necessary for the Messiah to come? Well, let me ask you something. When Israel was scattered for 2,000 years in the land, was it necessary that Israel, Judah, the tribe of Judah, the lion, would return to the land? Was that necessary? Is it necessary that on the Temple Mountain of God, that there be a temple, that we worship him there, as it says in Micah 4? Is that necessary that we build the land? So the first step on the red heifers is that we are going to move towards building that temple. Listen.
So you guys hear it there from the source, right? You guys hear it there from the source. This is not me, again, making this up. These are it's Jewish council members, Christians, it's Speaker of the House politicians, all types of people trying to usher in this prophecy. And again, when you start puzzling together these pictures, again, it all makes sense. So this whole, idea, and we didn't even touch on the propaganda that they feed you and the Islamophobia that they feed you, that, these are the extremists and they're killing their own people. And we got to go over there for, democratic reasons and all these different ploys and psyops that they've been going on for a century now. You know what I'm saying? It's all a lie. These people believe this territory belongs to them and they are going to get it hell or high water. And if you know that to be the case, because that's what they're saying out of their own mouth, then you would understand that they're going to try to, they can't do this with the world watching. They can't just annex a whole people. They can't just genocide a whole people off of the land that they think is theirs. They have to do tricks and little fucking shit that they do in order for them to properly get the territory that they believe is due to them. So that's where we are, right? And you know, we have to keep in mind also that the Iran-Israel situation is not over. We're still in the middle of a ceasefire. I think we're somewhere in day, maybe in the 50 or 40-day range, right? So that's surely to bubble over again, right? And this whole idea that they're going to occupy 100% of the Gazan territory and take full control of the West Bank and stuff like that, that is going to be met with resistance. Again, we got to keep in mind, Bibi Netanyahu, his administration, they are international war criminals by the ICC. They're also being charged with genocide right now, and he is refusing to go in front of a court, in front of the United Nations or anything, and be tried on these things. He is literally a madman possessed right now. And every time that there's an appointment scheduled, he bombs somewhere else. And there's another front of the war. There's another offensive operation coming down, which is what this is. The whole 100% occupation is an offensive territory. Now, he is facing protests from his own people, too. This isn't just met with no resistance from his own people. There's Jewish people that are siding against this, and there's IDF members that are siding against this because they're sick of the war. We're going on 2 years of this war. I mean, day in, day out fights. We're seeing a starving campaign. We're seeing a famine. We're seeing just all types of stuff, but no one is able to control Mr. Netanyahu and his lobby right now. And it's almost like, you know, we've been hijacked, we've been ambushed, we've been we're held hostage right now, because by the time our politicians have seen that we've been stuck up by the Israeli lobby, it's already too late. It's one of those situations where it's like, you know, you let somebody in that you trust into your house, and then they turn around and then they hold you hostage, you know, when you least expect it. That's essentially what's going on in American politics and foreign affairs right now, that by the time Trump has tried to do something or say something, by the time our government, Democrats and Republicans, have tried to vote certain things and get legislation against Israel and stuff like that, and as by time the world has tried to isolate Israel and stuff like that, it's too late. They're too involved into our politics. They're too embedded into our fabric. It's too late. They've turned the gun in on us in our own house, and they're holding us hostage with the world watching. We're seeing a stick up, and everybody knows what's going on. This Epstein thing, even, I'm telling you guys, this UMG, Drake, Not Like Us, Lucian thing, it's all, this Diddy thing is all interconnected through Mossad. Y'all can take it or let it alone, but that's essentially what's going on. And we're at the point where the man of sin has been revealed, but he's bucking back, and it's too late for us to really be able to do anything. Let me see. I'm trying to find something. It's really too late for us to do anything because they're already in our house, you know. So what are we going to do? Here you have again, somebody from, according, like we said at the top of the show. Okay, I didn't know I was sharing. This is from.
What if I told you that the entire Epstein files saga is a giant psyop out of Israel, specifically because Trump is not actually pro-Israel? Does that sound crazy? Does that sound like some QAnon stuff? Does that sound wildly anti-Semitic to you? Because that's what they say they're doing. Okay, this is from the Times of Israel, called Trump, Israel, and the Epstein Files. Trump and his administration criticized Netanyahu and Israel, and now the Epstein Files are haunting him. Okay, that's really all you need to know, but I'll continue. For a long time, the files had subsided in the background. They weren't considered to be much of a threat to Trump, but all of a sudden, right after he started up with Israel, the files surfaced, and they seemed to be overwhelming him. Trump decided to bomb Iran's nuclear sites, and that's commendable. But reports later surfaced that he rejected the option to bomb for a week's time in order to finish off all the sites. Thus, only Fordow was severely damaged, while other sites only had minimal or no damage. So you see, with everything Trump has done, with everything Trump has committed for Israel, they are not satisfied. It's not enough for them. He bombed Iran, yeah, but only once. He was supposed to bomb for a whole week. He's supposed to be bombing to this day. They're supposed to have boots on the ground. So now the Epstein list is going to be a big problem for you. That's what you get for messing with Israel. And by the way, what I just said, pretty much verbatim, the next line. Okay, so they run through all these things about how the Trump administration, despite being suicidally committed to Israel, they're not doing enough. It's not enough. They occasionally criticize Bibi Netanyahu, and therefore, quote, and now some old files are threatening him. Perhaps Trump will realize that it doesn't pay to start up with Israel. So they're telling you pretty much verbatim, because Trump is not sufficiently pro-Israel, because he's criticizing Netanyahu, and because his administration is not willfully going along with the discrimination against Christians in Israel, now the Epstein files are haunting them.
And this is why I say the importance of the Epstein list being released is so important, because it's not only to free the victims, it's not only to get justice, but it's also to free your American politicians. It's also to free the American people from the grips of this Israeli lobby, this blackmail operation. In order for us to be free from that, the truth is the only thing that will actually set us free. And some politicians are going to have to die on the sword. Prince Andrews, Donald Trump, all these people that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton who have been subpoenaed. Yeah, he said that beat switch went crazy to meet the Grams for sure. This is why this is why it's really important. And this is why what Kendrick did is also very important. And it's one of those things, I'm not going to get into it today, but if you know, you know. But Trump he ran on America first. Trump ran on this whole idea of America first and that he would sacrifice himself and going against the deep state. Well, I said it a few months ago. He's going to have to sacrifice himself in order to free the American people, because we know that you guys already got God. You guys got God. This Epstein person, the blackmail Epstein thing. I mean, it stems back to world leaders, Barack and President Arafat, and negotiations falling through for a two-state solution back in the 90s between Egypt and Israel, and all different types of stuff that implemented Israel's agenda will go through. They used Epstein and others to ensure that we got to where we are today, which is the potential building of the third temple being built, the construction of the third temple, the red heifers, the prophecy, the fulfillment of prophecy. They used Epstein as a blackmail agent to ensure that America would not get in their way. And if America couldn't get in their way, and big bad America couldn't stand in their way, then surely the United Kingdom, Britain, France, the EU, European Union, all these other people in NATO, they can't stop it either, right? So that's where we are today. So the importance of this Epstein list is literally life or death for the American people and American politics going forward. And the Trump administration can try. They came out again today or yesterday and said it's a hoax, and they can try, silencing this stuff like that. But the cover has been pulled off. He said, if you make it big, they might kill your ass. The cover's been pulled off. Everybody knows it. You got the hard right conservatives, because they're going to dig into it, because they see Trump looking like a deer with his head, like a deer in the headlights now. So they dug deep. Everybody's dug deep, and now everybody's in on this Eretz Greater Israel expansion that we talked about up here 2 years ago. Everybody's in on this idea that looks like it's exactly what's going on, right? And people just had to be able to connect the dots and put the puzzles together and the pieces together in the puzzle, which it was a really tricky puzzle. And we haven't even really seen the depths of this puzzle, really, because, again, like I said, a new front has been birthed with the Lucian Grange thing, Robert Maxwell and Ghislaine Maxwell, who's now potentially about to be pardoned. She's also coming out and doing exactly what we said she would, which is not implicating Trump on these lists, saying that Trump really wasn't involved. And then we also get word out of the victims. We got Virginia Jeffrey, who ended up meeting her fate a few months ago, back in April, and it did not get talked about in the media, that the number one victim of the Jeffrey Epstein list, who was speaking out about it, ended up dead after surviving a bus crash, a bus attempt on her life. Then she ended up dead by suicide a few weeks later. Like, what are the odds on that? you know, but she spoke out months before she died and said she wanted the release of the list. So this whole narrative that the victims don't want it, they don't want to implicate the victims and they don't want the victim to live through it, that's all poppycock. We had another victim yesterday and their family come out and say that she looked like a crisis actor to me, but that's neither here nor there. But she said the same thing, release the list. And I told you guys a week ago, they want the release of this list because the real files, the real degrading information, the real depth of this stuff is in civil lawsuits. It's not in the Epstein files that the DOJ holds. It's in the civil lawsuits that these people are planning to file once the DOJ releases the fucking list and it gets out of federal jurisdictions and hands and they can file civil lawsuits. Then we will know the real truth about who, what, when, and where and why. But until then, we're not going to know. It's being redacted. We know Trump's name has been redacted and highlighted and taken out of shit and all types of shit. They're fuddling with it. But we want the civil lawsuits to come out so we can hear from the victims and they can file civil lawsuits on the Epstein estate and we can hear their testimonies. That is what we are waiting for. But they are, they're like a guard dog. They're like, they are behind a cage, drooling and salivating at their chance to speak, being able to speak out. And they're not able to right now. So that's essentially where we're at with it. It's a sad case, but I'm glad that the picture is a little bit more clear for the American people today than it was yesterday. That is my job. That is my goal through this channel, is to make it more clear for you guys. I have damning evidence all on my page that I can share all day long, with Ari Ben Mashinani, who is a former, let's play his clip. He's a former Mossad agent, senior Mossad agent, right? He worked for the Israel's intelligence, and here's what he had to say regarding the Epstein situation. Here's what he has to say.
I certainly believe that the Israelis are making sure that the Americans do not stop them from the killing in Gaza. I believe that the American government is sort of trapped by the Israelis. Jeffrey Epstein is one of their tools to trap them.
I didn't say it. This is a former Mossad agent. I didn't say it.
I certainly believe that the Israelis are making sure that the Americans do not stop them from the killing in Gaza. I believe that the American government is sort of trapped by the Israelis. Jeffrey Epstein is one of their tools to trap them.
And what do you think of Dershowitz's denial?
Hold on a second. I want to give you an example. Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton, Ehud Barak,
they struck a deal.
Met Arafat in the 90s.
They struck a
and
deal.
There was no deal. The reason was Epstein.
Let me pause that. That's Arafat and Ehud Barak in the 90s. Two-state solution was presented. They had agreed to terms and with Bill Clinton, and behind the scenes, a deal was getting ready to be struck. But through blackmail operations, through Israel's agenda, through Mr. Epstein, who had dirt on Bill Clinton, Ehud Barak, and President Arafat, because he was sent, not just him, but intelligence was sent all across the globe in different fractions in different ways in this blackmail operation. So sex with underage teenagers, money laundering, black market stuff, human trafficking, sex trafficking, all these things that you think these powerful people get away with. I told you, no, they don't. Someone's building a case on them. And it turns out that we see who's building the case on them. So a two-state solution could have been reached in the 90s, but it was sabotaged. So this whole Israel-Gaza situation could have been solved, dealt with already, but someone sabotaged it. I've said this before, but I'm not the one saying it right now. This is a former Israeli intelligence agent saying it.
They were being blackmailed by Epstein. Ehud Barak was also a friend of Epstein.
Yes, he has pictures in the house. They found the pictures in the
Prime
house.
Minister of Israel at the time. But he was being blackmailed by the Israeli right wing as well. And they stopped an agreement with Arafat. They were about to reach an agreement there for a two-state solution, but that was stopped because of Epstein. They were both being blackmailed by Epstein.
Ehud Barak has been on.
Israeli.
Ehud Barak has been on this show. He walked off this show. People can look it up, and that was.
So again, that's a former Israeli agent saying that. That is not me saying it. It's just the truth. Again, these people are implicated all in the Epstein files, even in the discovery in Epstein's mansion. They find pictures of Prime Minister Ehud Barak, also pictures of President Arafat and Epstein with these people, with these figures. You also have obviously the relationship with Epstein and Bill Clinton, who was a real close confidant of Bill Clinton. And now, just this week, I said Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton have been subpoenaed to court about this Epstein thing. So it's going to be really, really interesting to get them on record and see what they say the merit of the relationship is with Epstein, especially when we know the DOJ and the FBI and stuff like that probably already have a file. And we already have access to Mr. Epstein's black book, which I encourage people to. They found his black book, and that's where they had the letters and stuff that Donald Trump had wrote to him for his birthday party, and other people had wrote different little central messages and stuff like that. I also want to play this little clip for you guys too, so you guys can get a better understanding. That whole you guys remember the on Donald Trump's first presidency, he talked about grabbing him by the pussy. Well, it stems from Mr. Epstein in this blackmail thing. Let's take a look.
Did try and fuck her. She was married.
It's huge news there.
No, Nancy. Yeah. No, this was marriages, and I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, "I'll show you where they have some nice furniture." I took her out furniture. I moved on her like a bitch, but I couldn't get there, and she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed.
This is your president.
I gotta use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
Pull the ham.
Hello, how are you? Hi.
So that's your president. That's your president of the United. That's your president of the United States right there. And it says the Access Hollywood tape was recorded in 2005, same time period. Virginia Jeffrey, who ended up, like I said, she died due to suicide a few months ago, said Epstein and Maxwell were recruiting girls as child sex slaves from Mar-a-Lago, which is Trump's place, right? Trump denied it for years. Now he admits she was stolen from there. He did admit that. She told the truth before her death. He told the truth too by accident. And that was him in his prime, speaking about those incidents. And we also seen the clip earlier this month of him alluding to at some sort of party, Jeffrey Epstein liking him young. And so this whole implication that Trump kind of abated and knew that Epstein was doing what he was doing has some legs. It has very much legs to it. Now the question is, the Trump administration and some insiders say that Trump and Epstein kind of had a falling out because of some sort of botched deal with some sex trafficking situations where Trump didn't want him doing it out of Mar-a-Lago, which he was doing it out of Mar-a-Lago. And Trump didn't want him doing it out of there. So they kind of didn't see eye to eye on that. But here again, everything implicates the fact that Donald Trump has been tied in majorly with this party and these people for a long time. So you know they have something on them. I think everybody in the country is just waiting to see exactly what it is they have on them. Do we think that it is actual pedophilic in nature? Do we think it's, administratively, do they have something on them and his origins in politics? Has he been funded by them this whole time? Did they help him through all his many bankruptcies and failed businesses? the list goes on, and we still don't got clarity on the assassination attempts and all these different things. There's a lot of mystery going on. By the way, my people on the East Coast, before I get off here, my people on the East Coast that continuously feel the ground shake underneath them and the ground burping and thundering and stuff like that. I don't think it's earthquakes. It might be nuclear submarines. It might be the nuclear submarines that Trump is pointing at Russia right now. So again, we are not out of the woodworks with war. I know Mr. Donald Trump he's acting like he's solving wars all over the nation and stuff like that, but it doesn't look like we're out of the clear by no stretch of the imagination. You have the Indonesia thing, the Indian-Pakistan thing, Cambodian thing. You got Russia and Ukraine still heating up. We're getting ready to send $20 billion more to Ukraine right now. That whole situation, again, is a land grab. I told you guys Blackstone has already invested in that land grab. And then you got, the big, the shit over in the Middle East is just popping. You got another humanitarian crisis in Sudan. You got the South African situation with the farmers and the Boers. You got the situation in Uganda. You got Iran. You got the Syria situation. No one's heard anything out of Assad, who fled to Russia back, 4 or 5 months ago. What's going on with Assad in Syria? The Syria failed state. And then you got the situation in the Congo. You got the situation in Haiti. And then you got Iran and Israel still going on. Israel and Hamas. The list goes on and on. There's wars. And then we haven't even talked about China and how they play into all of this as well. So, again, everybody's shuffling the deck. But as we see, Israel is setting up, and on the chessboard, they're setting up their pieces to where when the dominoes fall and all the pieces fall, that they will be the remaining pieces on the chessboard. They believe that they are fulfilling prophecy. Can you be mad at them? I don't know. That's more of a theological, philosophical question that I won't get into today. But I do want to tell people that this is more so than it is about oil and power and stuff like that, which it is. It's a lot of that in there too. It's also mainly about prophecy and people trying to fulfill that prophecy and usher in a Messiah and the third temple and knocking down Al-Aqsa and all these different things. So if you keep that in mind, if you keep that eyesight, if you have that eyesight on the situation, a lot of this stuff makes more sense than it ever would otherwise. These are not series of random events. The Red Heifer, Mike Johnson, the Welling Wall, AIPAC, the Israeli lobby, the Epstein thing, the blackmail, the Diddy situation, the sex slave, Cassie, all of these, the UMG lawsuit, Lucian Grange, who is now being indicted, and he has major connections to Diddy and all different types of things. These are not all accidental, and they are very much interconnected. So I think people should just kind of, leave it at that. I don't think we should just sit back and kind of watch, but if you guys do, understand what you are at least watching, which is really a Zionistic movement in nature from the very get-go, and we're just seeing how it all unfolds, and everybody else is really just the casualties of this war. And I don't mean like literal casualties of war as far as like what's going on in Palestine and the Gazans that are lying dead. I mean in the American people who are a casualty of this war. I mean everybody in the West that are all going to be casualties of this war, because Israel is determined, and they have a leader right now who is acting as a madman, and he is acting like he sees the end of the road, the light at the end of the tunnel for this prophecy to be fulfilled, and this 2,000-year waiting of the Messiah to happen. It just looks like he is dead set through hell or high water to get this done. So that's really where we're at. That's all I got for today. Thanks, people, for tuning in. For people that's going to watch this back, please comment on the video. I would love to hear your guys' feedback on this. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what you guys are interested in hearing more of, and share the page. And I appreciate all the support I can get here. But yeah, that's all I got for today. And essentially, this is your host, Lord of Lips, and I'm signing out. Peace.